The first inkling that we get that we're dealing with something that's far more serious than we realized, the discard and the way that the narcissist behaves is so shocking, because that's when we actually see who they are. And who they are is a callous, unfeeling, unattached person who's incapable of love or bonding. So many of us don't see that until the discard. And for me, that was incredibly traumatic. And I think it goes back to, it's traumatic because I had to finally face the fact that they don't love us. They never did. Anything they told us, any promises they made, any actions that they took, you know, we experience feelings of love and loyalty and attachment and all of those things. So even when a relationship ends in a normal way, we feel sadness. And even if we're the one who's ending the relationship, we can't just turn those feelings off. And we go through sort of a grieving process. And eventually, hopefully, we get better, right? The narcissist doesn't experience that. And this is one of the things that is so shocking to us. When you've been with one of these types long enough and your self-esteem is minimal or completely lacking, this all feeds into those feelings of unlovability, worthlessness, all of those things that have been projected onto us. I really had to accept that there was never any love or loyalty that was being reciprocated to me. It just wasn't real. So I want to talk about how the narcissist does see us. Part of what has helped me is to come to a good understanding of what they actually experience and how they actually feel about us and how they see us and how that comes through during the discard. So I went and bought these trail running shoes, and they work like a charm. I mean, I've been shin splint free for 6 years, and I've had these shoes for 6 years. And it became clear to me though, like a week ago, I can't use them anymore. I mean, the sole is literally becoming separated. I can't use them anymore. So I have to get rid of them. I have to replace these shoes. Now, I can sit here and say, I love these shoes. And I could say that and I could mean it, but not in a literal sense. I mean, I don't love the shoes like I would love a human being, right? Well, the way that I feel about the shoes, I like the shoes because I had a specific need and they met that need for me and they did it very well. But after a period of time, as a result of how I used the shoes, they're no longer in a condition to serve the need that I have, to provide support so that I don't get shin splints, okay? So my fondness for the shoes is directly tied to that very utilitarian purpose. That is pretty much the best sort of parallel that we're going to be able to wrap our heads around in terms of how the narcissist feels about us. The narcissist, when the narcissist tells us that they love us, it's kind of like me telling you that I love my shoes. It's a very surface sort of love. And it's a conditional love. It's there because the shoes are serving a purpose. Now that the shoes are no longer serving the purpose, I have to get rid of them. I have to discard the shoes. Now, I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm probably going to throw them in the trash. I don't think they're going to be very useful to somebody else at this point. Like, so I won't even give them to Goodwill at this point. But I'm just probably going to toss them in the trash. I don't feel compelled to have a conversation with the shoes and thank the shoes for what they've done for me and thank the shoes for the time that we shared and tell the shoes how much I appreciate them and will always have a very fond place for them in my heart and my memory. That would be silly, right? That's kind of how the narcissist feels about us. When they've decided to discard us, it's really pointless in their mind to have any kind of like adult conversation or to really invest any time or emotion in the process of tossing us aside, much like we toss shoes aside. So there's nothing about those shoes that inherently makes them unlovable. They're just worn out and they're not good any longer for the purpose that I have for them. And it's not even their fault that they're worn out. They're worn out because of how I use them and how long that they served my purpose. But they can't serve it anymore. so I have to get rid of them. And that's pretty much how the narcissist feels about us. So when we stop serving the purpose that the narcissist has identified in his or her mind, and oftentimes we don't know what that is, we're discarded without much more thought than I give to discarding my shoes. It sucks, but it's information that we need to know. And I think the reason that this knowledge is important is because it finally gets us to a place where we need not take this personally. We need not take the abuse personally. We need not take the discard personally. None of it's a reflection of us. None of it is a reflection of us. They do this to whomever it is they're involved with as soon as that person stops giving them the type of supply that the narcissist has identified as the utilitarian purpose for that person. So that's why this is beneficial. It's important for us to understand this. Because the way that the narcissist leaves and the way that they discard us and the way that they move on to somebody else so quickly makes us feel worthless. Makes us feel like we were never important. And that is shocking to us, given everything we've been told. But they can't even step out from beyond that very shallow appreciation of us and the relationship. We're just not useful anymore.